Good afternoon, everybody. We're back right here at the Nico headquarters. This is another episode of the most underrated podcast on YouTube. Rico, how are you doing today?
I was about to mention you don't have to speak so loud. That is a dynamic.
We're doing today the Rico Nico podcast. I think that's a very exciting thing, and maybe we our feelings get the best of each other. I think this is a very exciting thing. I think
What are you talking about?
I think that we should be grateful that we're here alive, healthy, well, somewhat, and we're sharing time together.
Were you drinking before I got here?
No,
Did you drink? You stopped
I haven't drank in 2 weeks.
Good. What? Really? Kudos. All right. We talk about the topic of the day.
Yeah, you said something about reading books.
Not reading books, but while we're on the subject, let's go with it. So we live in the wonderful state of Florida.
Yeah,
Florida, the state that has a weird relationship with history, with intellectualism, with reading.
Yeah.
With reading.
You read books?
Yeah, I read books.
I don't read books.
And hey, that's what you want to put out there. So we in Florida, and I think in over time in America, there's been this issue with the banning of books. And I think we banned
Oh,
books.
you mean like educational, like for schools?
Yeah, I think
Oh, that's what you meant. I thought you meant like regular. Oh, okay.
So, all right, so I'll tell you the story. So last year during the hurricane that was in September, right?
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
I had to be at a shelter. I had to basically run a shelter for those who had evacuated, right? And I was at an elementary school actually. And while I was in elementary school, we did most of our initial operation in the library, and then we turned classrooms into basically dormitories. And we were there for 4 days. And since everything main operations in the library, you could peruse through a lot of books. They had tons of books that were there, tons of new books that were coming, and plenty of old books that were going out, right?
Yeah.
And amongst the books that were there, that was in normal rotation, not new or not old even, I saw several books that were that were specifically LBGTQIA plus books specifically, right?
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I kind of thumbed through a little bit, and it was I saw one book that was basically just spoke on the different experiences of individuals that basically have different lifestyles. Basically, it was basically saying that they live normal lives, but they have different relationships with different individuals. It didn't directly go into romantic relationships, but it just spoke about family dynamics. That's all it really was. Okay, I was like, all right, bet. And I was just like, okay. Now, like I said, we live in anti-woke Florida, and what I realized is that, and I want to get your opinion on this. We're at a time now where individuals are deathly afraid of actual history and actual current present dynamics of our society becoming not only present but prevalent. Okay, everything that is in a book exists for the most part in our society, or beyond fiction, right? And the LGBT community is no exception. These types of family dynamics and social dynamics clearly exist and have existed for hundreds of, if not thousands of years, right? But there are certain individuals, certain echelons, regardless of their political stance or their religious stance, that are still uncomfortable with reality. With reality. Religion has not always existed. Christianity has not always existed, right? The certain political parties have not always existed, but humanity and our social dynamics, especially family dynamics, have existed for a very long time. But I digress. Speaking about banning of books. So there's this idea that our children, when you get around to this, tell you about your little brother, our children should not be exposed to certain literature
By choice.
Well, on by choice, but they can choose books, but they certain books.
No, I mean by choice. I don't. But that's another comment.
But yeah, but these books, children have access to certain books in, say, libraries and whatnot.
Okay.
Now, I have seen arguments from other states about certain books that were in school libraries. Usually they're at middle school and high school level, and these books were basically pornography. And I do agree that those books, while they should be written, they shouldn't be in a school setting. They should be in a library or they should be in a bookstore. But that type of book should not be. It's almost just like, you know, that.
So you want to know if I'm okay with banning certain books?
Like, well, I guess banning books. I guess they only mean banning books from school. And
okay, so banning books that the kids get to read.
Access to, yeah.
I mean, yeah, whatever the parents say.
Whatever the parents say.
Whatever the parents say.
So okay, so that's whatever the parents say.
I mean, I would like to read the book first, but then be like, I feel like I'd be okay with the book, but I'm not just gonna try to read every single thing that my kids watch in the school and this and that. I mean, that ain't my job.
Okay.
So I mean, if it's creating some controversy, I'd be like, you know what, just I don't want my kid to read this and just call it a day, kind of thing.
All right. So what happens when?
That's what I think.
There are individuals on both sides that basically they want, say more than just to say this LGBT. Say there are parts of different demographics that they don't want certain groups to be represented. They don't want Black and brown people to be represented. They don't want history to be represented in a certain way. They don't want LGBT. They don't want certain religions to be represented. They want certain aspects and certain dynamics that are present in our society to have diminished presence at the grade level. Oh, they can see it in middle school, they can see it in high school, but those first pivotal years between kindergarten and fifth grade, they want a certain image, certain books to be for children to have access to.
I think it's whatever the parents say, man. Even if I don't agree.
Right. So you said as a parent, I realize that in a school.
This is the thing about this.
Okay.
About how do I put it into words? When a kid goes to school and they see certain things, right? Mm-hmm. When a kid goes home, they see other certain things, right? So if a parent is giving a choice of what their kid sees in school, they should take advantage of it. Just like if you want your kid to be on the phone all day or only on the weekends. Okay. If you want your kid to play video games after they're done with homework or only play with weekends. Or only play when the parents are around, or watch certain movies when the parents are around.
Certain access.
That's good.
Certain exposure.
If I want my kid to learn about LGBT and all these rights, and they're giving them shit for it at school, they ban it. Oh shit, that sucks. When my kid comes home, I'll explain it to her myself. Okay. That's the way I see it. I mean, the school things is not only like your kid; it's everybody's kid. That's a little bit more tricky. But it's not like okay, so. They don't want my kid to see LGBT stuff at school. And this is assuming that it's okay for kids that age. So let's say it's not any sexual related or relationship related. Mm-hmm. It's just different people, they got different ways, different dynamics, and that's okay. So I do want my kid, say I'm a parent that's not okay with the blocking of the books. I want my kid to learn it. Or they're not gonna teach it to them at school. Let me add that to all the millions of things that they're not going to learn in school, and I just tell them about them myself. That's kind of the way I see it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd be okay with I'd be okay with my kid doing it, but if they don't do it, I mean, it's not big deal.
Okay.
I'll do it myself, and I'd rather do it myself, to be honest.
So I look at all the thousands of books that are in school libraries, and what I realize is that, like you said, it's not your job. There are people who are in a position to, on both sides, to impress or inject things at certain levels that are good and bad on both sides. So I'll say it like this. There are a lot of people who are invested in removing accurate depictions of different groups and different ideologies. They're invested in removing those away from grade school children. They want to remove access because if they never have exposure, they'll never have a question to seek the truth. Likewise, there are individuals that intentionally try to inject certain ideologies and whatnot because they know if you can accommodate and condition the youth to accept it, they will accept it. So when they get older, it will become normal to them, and then they'll actually defend it, right or wrong. And I look at it like, when we look at the banning of books should never be banned, but there should always be age there should be age appropriate material.
Oh,
Right?
that for sure.
And that's what I believe. I believe in age appropriate material. Now I know there's a lot of individuals say, "Oh, well, children should be exposed to this, that, and the third." You can believe whatever you want. Is it age appropriate? That's that you said. That's my thing. And I look at it like this. I don't want to leave it up to administrators and other individuals that have an agenda because they don't really care about the kids. I believe that people who the banning of books, you should not ban books, but you should, how I said, age appropriate literary material at every grade. That TV is TV, YouTube is YouTube, everything's all those. They have their criteria, but they're very flexible. My whole thing is I don't want administrators, I don't want people who are not invested, whose job it is to be around our kids, but who are not actually invested in children to go through the process and vet the books properly for age appropriate. I don't want them to be the ones who are solely responsible because they failed in so many areas before. Likewise, I don't want people with an agenda.
That's true.
Either way, to be the ones to make the decision. I don't want people who want to indoctrinate children or basically deconstruct children. I don't want anybody who has that mindset to be the ones dictating what children have. I don't want people who are.
But somebody's gotta make those decisions.
Yeah, then you said the parents. So the parents.
No, I'm talking about what happens at school, like the curriculum.
So when you go through these aspects of what children are exposed to, what I believe is that it should be ran by the parents of what's the basics of what children will be taught. And I wish parents would be more active in regards to saying, my children really need to learn all these other skills that school don't teach you. Our students, our children need to be taught about money, they need to be taught about business, they need to be taught about politics, they need to be taught about independence.
Taxes.
Yeah, and you know the reason why schools don't teach that is because school is only meant to indoctrinate employees and consumers, not free thinkers.
No, 100%. But what I think is that the role that schools have in society, I think, is way overrated. If you want to teach your kids something, they're not there all day. You see it. I mean, unless you have like a bunch of jobs and you can't really spend quality time with them.
Yeah.
If your kid doesn't get taught something in school, then you can just teach them yourself. To me, school affects as far as the social circle goes, because they want to be accepted, they want to hang out with their friends, they want to be cool.
And you socialize.
But I think the curriculum is way overrated. Like to me, it's not that big of a deal. If they don't do it, I'll do it myself. Then
you know what? I got one for you right now. The pandemic was put on display how many parents are not capable or willing.
It's very difficult
to do it for themselves because they're working. So
imagine if they are home with the kid, like you've been working for 10 hours a day, like you don't want to sit there and
you can't teach your child for 6 hours a day while you're having to work 8 to 10 hours a day. There's a
maintain the damn kid.
And what it shows is that parents have a dependency on these conditioning farms, which are school. But I really feel that parents should be able to dictate to the school boards in these schools, you will teach our children these things. Like you see on the internet, there are so many self-help, confidence builders, team building exercises. There's so many tutorials online, right? That show easier way to do mathematics. In America, man, I know we're gonna straight off this topic so crazy, but in America, we are so behind in academics, and not just academics, but social intelligence. Like we shouldn't have to have rallies about the internet, the thing we're on right now about don't chase clout. It's not about likes. It's not about the short hits of gratification and validation online. This is not real. There's so much wisdom online, but you can't take even a percentage of this and put it in a classroom. It's like if it's not trendy, kids don't respond to it. That's always been. But true strength, it's not hard to sell strength. It's not hard to sell. Exercise is difficult, but it's not hard to sell what makes you better. We can't. I feel like children between kindergarten and like say your last year of college, that it shouldn't be after college you're learning how to finally be a decent person, how to really strengthen yourself. That's one thing I think the rich do very well. They teach their children from a young age, this is how you're strong. We got millions of examples of people who are weak or dependent. We the few, this is what you need to know to be strong. We're going to teach you exactly what you need to know. You don't need to know a lot of the BS. You don't need to be thinking about, oh, your life and your own personal expression. You establish this first. You can live however you want. You can express yourself however you want. And I think that's one of the big things that I have. And book banning is one of those things where it shows the elite or those who are poised to have an agenda. It's just one of the small things in the indoctrination
But
process.
that's something I think inherent to just life in general. Like you can only control what happens to your kid when they're right there with you, and that's not how it's gonna be. Like, say for example, we all agree, okay, don't ban the books, it's messed up. What if it's satanic books?
What if it's satanic books? They're not in school.
Now I'm really against it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But some people are gonna be like,
yeah,
they're kind of atheists, kind of don't care, or maybe some actually are satanic. Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, when I look at religious ideologies, I don't mind if a child comes into school and they're allowed to express their own religious ideology or no ideology at all. But I don't think if school's going to push any religion, then it should have all religions there, Satanism included.
It's included.
And also
atheism. But I'm not okay with that.
Why are you not okay with that?
Nah, it makes me feel.
Why?
I feel something inside. I don't like it. I don't like that energy.
You know what? That's the next topic, my boy. That's the next topic.
No, I don't want to talk about it, let alone at home. I live alone. We'll do it at your house. I live alone. I just had another nightmare this morning. I don't like that. I don't know. Let us know in the comments down below. All the books that you will ban. Yeah, I know I live by myself. He's different, and I've had my experiences here and there. Thank you for watching this video all the way till the end. Hit the like button, and I think I'm remembering this one topic that somebody suggested. That can be another one.
And that's what you want to mention right here.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Subscribe, share, and comment on this.
It's gotta be natural, like we're just talking the camera song.
Natural,
like
natural
like
you do over, right?
What?
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you guys. Appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good one. We'll catch you on the flip.
I just buy it. I don't know.